what would happen initially then? So we've got an unambiguous detection.
So are we saying like an EM, like a radio waves or something like that now?
Let's consider each one.
Okay.
So we've got an unambiguous detection, and it's just a signal, and we've got an unambiguous detection, and let's just take the other extreme, that we basically can come in contact with them if we want to. They're like orbiting Earth or something. Yeah. So take the radio signal. What do you think the initial effects on the general population would be? So
we not like the actual people in the room when the signal comes in, but like the first kind of wave when the news breaks to the world, like you wake up one morning and the headlines are
and in
like,
the first like maybe 2 or 3 days, like what does it have any effects on? So everyone's obviously very excited.
I mean, for a start, can you imagine waking up one morning, checking your phone, and the headline on the front of the BBC is like unambiguous artificial, like signal from an artificial source detected from some star, like the fuck? I go mental. I don't know what I'd do.
No, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what I'd do. I mean,
like my personal reaction would be, I don't know if I can like rip my hair out and go and live the rest of my life in like a cave or something. I just can't handle it.
Yeah,
just lose my mind.
Yeah, I would lose. I don't know what I'd do. I honestly don't know what I'd do. No,
like it's just such. Like to me, like that is such a massive deal. Like there's arguably nothing else that could like have such an impact.
I can't imagine what I'd do. I honestly don't. I might just start crying. Like it would. It might. I seriously think that might happen.
I could imagine just like something like really intense, like emotional response to it. Just like
my first reaction is going to be like find out more. Like
like what?
I'll be trying to. I'll be like starving, hungry for information instantly, trying to consume everything possible. So
I'd be a little bit at first. I'd be a
very
little bit
skeptical.
Like what?
Very
Fuck
skeptical.
Off.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. I'd be super skeptical.
But
okay. But once you know.
So you've done your digging, and you're like, shit, this is actually real.
There's like there's very well known and well established scientists coming out for say a radio signal saying this is definitely the signal from another civilization.
Yeah,
we've gone through everything, and it makes absolutely perfect sense that this
is the most likely explanation for
it. We've got some part of the data now decoded, and this is like some garbled communication. And we don't really understand what language it's in or whatever, but we understand that it's something.
That it contains information.
Yeah, and you can then listen to it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Can you imagine that? Just like playing on like a little soundbite on BBC or something. I'm imagining the Contact thing. But like. Well,
that sounds epic. It might sound lame.
It might just be like. Just like a little kind of like crackly kind of.
Yeah.
Flurry of noise, and that's it.
Yeah, could be.
But I mean, okay, so initial impact.
So on other people then, apart from
us, because we're just going to go mental, and probably a lot of people that we know will as well.
Yeah,
sort of ape shit a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to work for ages. I'll just be like, fuck it.
Be just in my bed, just like kind of
shivering.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I think
not out of fear, just out of just like total,
shock,
and like. Yeah. Fuck. Other people.
General population, I think, would be very excited.
Yeah, it would be huge.
It would be the biggest news in the world for a long time.
Yeah, a few weeks at least. It would be absolutely smashing. Like every forum, Twitter would be just going crazy. Yeah, like it would spark a whole like internet movement of like memes and shit. Yeah.
It would. And then I feel like. Say it's a radio signal, and we know now that there's definitely a civilization out there, and it's going to take a few years to decrypt what they've sent us, and we sort of don't know. I don't think the world. You feel like the world would change, but it would change in a sort of subtle way. I don't think like your average person is just gonna like not gonna work anymore. No, like like everything still has to run. Like we're still not gonna forget that we've got to like eat and do all the human stuff that we normally do. Yeah. People aren't gonna forget to pay their bills and stuff because of it. Yeah,
it'll be something that you see like popping up in like everywhere, like in comedy shows and cartoons and newspapers and everything will be referencing it constantly. Yeah, but that will like die down a bit, and then life will just sort of go back to kind of like it was before, but just this knowledge will then exist. Like now we know we live in a universe where we're not alone. Essentially, there's other intelligence.
Yeah. So we're assuming again. We're assuming like we're assuming a message we don't understand at the moment.
Yeah.
So let's keep that as a message we don't understand. We don't know if the intentions are good or bad. Do you think there would be any fear or panic?
That's a hard one. I think from some groups, maybe.
Yeah, I think there would be.
I don't think the general atmosphere would be one of fear and panic, though.
No, I think
there'll be quite a few like existential crises for like various groups, potentially religious groups.
Yes, yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more in the long term effect if you want.
But okay, so we're still talking fairly short term, so within like the first maybe few months after detection. Yeah, I think there would be some like an unease to it.
There definitely would be so there's some people in the scientific community that definitely see this as like a dangerous thing to be doing, to communicating,
like proactively communicating. Yeah. Sure.
But I feel like so that of course there's a possibility if they sent us something and they had like bad intentions, they could be sending us a virus to decrypt that like just like shuts down the whole of our or it's an AI or something that sent itself over and we download it all and it just like starts taking over everything or whatever. So you don't really know like what you're dealing with at all. So there'd be definitely voices to like don't touch it, delete it, whatever.
Yeah. That's true.
But then once that thing is available, if it's in the public domain...
I don't think you can stop people from trying to decode it,
from
trying to understand what it is. I think that's just inevitably going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's...
So if the message itself is
if it's a horrendous thing that's going to wipe out half, all our electronic systems and stuff, I think we're probably just going to... That's just what would happen.
Yeah. Partially because... we wouldn't be able to stop it even if we could because it's probably more advanced. If that is what it is, it's probably like super advanced.
Yes, if they sent a package of information that's
by
designed
over radio,
to do that, then we're probably a bit fucked.
And also just because like people are people, and like even if like government bodies whatever say don't do this, there's always going to be groups of people who will try and pick it apart and try and decode it and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's we're kind of fucked if that's the case. And I hadn't considered that, like the concept of like a package of malevolent, like essentially like a virus, like some malware sent via radio, alien malware.
Yeah. The antivirus companies be going mad.
I don't think they'll be able to handle it, like AVG or whatever.
AVG, yeah.
Yeah. Don't think they can handle it.
No, they'll get screwed. So yeah, there's that aspect to it of being unsure. If something so in the other scenario then, so
yeah.
Were you going to say something?
No, it's all right. Carry on.
So, in the other scenario where something, let's keep the radio thing.
Yeah.
If it's definitely a positive message, we decide to we don't have to encrypt it or whatever, or decrypt it, or understand what it is really. It's just it's sent to us. That's very unlikely to happen though. That it's sent to us in an understandable state that's very quickly understandable.
Yeah, unlikely.
Although you'd imagine they'd use very, very simple logic to try and communicate with us.
Yeah, in the same way that we do.
Ridiculously smart people in the world who have been able to like decrypt like the Enigma code and all that sort of stuff. So and the computers can do that sort of thing so easily. So it'd be broken almost instantly.
You would think so
if it was a simple message, and the first part of that message might be something positive, like it's okay, we're here to just talk, but that people still be skeptical.
Maybe. I mean, that kind of thing that implies there's like a meaning implied behind that. That's like language with meaning, rather than which would imply that there's like a level of communication above just like simple maths or whatever, which is
no. But you can. What I'm saying, yes,
which might not be possible. I mean, the way that they communicate might be so different from the way that we communicate. Like when we've sent messages out, like the Arecibo message, we haven't got put anything in it like that. No. It's literally just like
we're here, basically.
A bunch of code of like
hydrogen atom. Yeah.
And this is what DNA looks. Structure of DNA, the size of a human, like. Here's the Arecibo telescope, that kind of. It's just cold information. There's no like, hi, how are you? We're here to be happy and friendly, because like there's no way that we can expect aliens to understand a message like that, and like vice versa. So it might have like a positive part to it, but whether we'll understand that initially.
Yeah, and I think even if it did have like an outwardly positive part to it, people would still be skeptical, because if you were intending to invade someone, you might not try and scare them before you do it.
Yeah. So, but presuming it is something like the Arecibo message, which is intended as like a first contact message.
Yeah.
You would imagine that it would be kind of similar. Something that it like really blatantly advertised itself as intelligence. So some kind of like repeating pattern that couldn't be explained by nature, followed by some like code information about the senders.
Yes.
And that might take us fucking ages to decode it. But if you say like it's simple, then maybe it would be quick.
You'd assume they would want to do it simply, unless they're trying to test us to see if we're actually smart.
Yeah.
But you'd assume it would be in a simpler language, in some simple mathematical language. That should be. I mean, it doesn't take. People can do all sorts of mad stuff with like incredibly, encrypted. Difficult. They'll, that won't take long to break at all.
Yeah,
if it's in simple mathematical language.
Like GPUs and machine learning and stuff will just pull it apart.
Yeah,
like, It's just so quickly.
I don't think that would be a problem trying to decrypt it. Obviously, that's assuming they use. There's no reason why they wouldn't use mathematical things to do this. You'd assume any biological life form would do the same.
Yeah. So it's possible that, as well as like the kind of just cold information, that there is some like garbled sort of attempt at like actual language communication that we don't understand at first.
Yes. That's
potentially a positive or a negative message, and that part might scare people more than anything else.
Yes.
It's like, here's this section of the message, we don't understand what it is.
And obviously the other side is that if there's something outwardly kind of negative, so it's kind of like this kind of civilization telling us that like, don't resist, we are going to subjugate you. It's not at all under your control anymore. You can try, but you'll lose, and the more the harder you fight us, the more you're going to lose, essentially.
Fuck.
So
just being told outright, like, that's it, like, you don't get a say in this anymore.
No, we're just turning.
We're coming.
Yeah. You'd feel like I don't know. Would they bother sending something like that?
I can't imagine why, but then again, you can't really. It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of an alien, because we have no idea like what they would think like, or how their brains would work or anything.
Yeah.
So maybe that is. It's kind of like posturing, isn't it? Like a.
That's I know. Obviously, it's way out there, kind of this, but in terms of like an armed force coming to overtake something, you expect them not to warn us. Probably not. They'd probably knock out all our defenses first, and then sort of say, "Okay, this is what's happening."
Yeah.
So I think it's highly unlikely you're going to receive a message that's outwardly hostile.
Sure. Yeah.
That's not unless it's like a leaked message or something.
Yeah, and I would probably say you're unlikely to receive a message that's outwardly positive. At least you're unlikely to recognise that it's outwardly positive, at least at first. So that in the terms of like initial effects, you're probably just going to be looking at like just some information, but it might be cool information. It might be like similar to what we've done. So this is like the fundamental structure of our biology or something like that, which is like, fuck, it's DNA. Shit. It's a double helix molecule like DNA. Like it's based on the same, that kind of revelation might be in a message like that.
Yes.
Which would be insane.
So the other one, of course, is them actually visiting. Yeah. So do you think that would scare people more, or that the aliens have turned up? We would know their intentions quickly if that was the case. Yeah. So people may be, in a sense, less frightened if they're obviously not hostile. So they come out and they've got suits on, so they're not going to get there's no worry about biology contamination because they've got these badass suits that just aren't going to rip. They're made of like space goo or something. And they come down and that they're outwardly friendly. Yeah. So I think that would be scary. I would be scared just because it would just be scary. It would be,
I reckon that would be scarier. I reckon that would be, in the short term, people would be more frightened even if they are outwardly. Yeah, because you imagine like people would be going to bed at night and you're thinking like, oh shit, somewhere out there is like an alien and it's gonna
and it's just landed.
It's just landed. Like who knows what they're gonna do? They might look friendly, but Christ knows what they're gonna do. They might come into my house and like fucking. Yeah. I don't know, do something to me.
Probe you.
Yeah. So I think people will be more scared because with the radio stuff, there'll be like a creeping sort of unease to the general first response to it.
Yeah.
Where people are like, this is weird. Whereas with this, it's like, fucking, there's an alien.
It's real.
There's an alien right out there. Like you can see it. It's on the news. What the hell is it doing here? What's its motives?
Yeah, and it essentially, in a way, it's obviously an alien doesn't have and would never have any initially any kind of concept, maybe it would, of like nationality and stuff. But if something lands, if something comes, it's kind of like it lands in wherever.
Yeah.
The US, say. It's basically just like invaded their borders in a way. Like it's got no visa.
No. Yeah, it's true.
So
if Trump's president by that point, he'll be
yeah.
sending it right back.
Yeah,
to where
he will
it came
be.
from.
Yeah. And it's just that kind of there's no concept of any of that to it. We have protocols and stuff that allow us to move between countries, etc., etc. And that structure kind of keeps us safe and lets us understand how these different groups of people work. But if an alien lands, it just turns up.
Yeah, it just turns up, and it just goes to show like how sort of trivial like all these like
yes, of course,
the rules are basically.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, now here's an alien.
It can do what it wants,
whatever the fuck it wants.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that would frighten people more, especially if it turned up out of nowhere without warning.
Yeah.
And if it was outwardly hostile, then whatever, it's just a battle. But
yeah, that's fucking terrifying. But like, imagine it's hard to if they're quite communicative, like I don't know, like some ship lands and some aliens come out like, oh hello,
they've got a translated chip or something that does it.
But what if like just some like large craft just appeared in orbit around the Earth, and like nothing really else was going on? It was just there. Yeah. In like a kind of like really distant like retrograde or just
coming in and having a look and going back out.
And there's not really any sign of movement. Like what happens then?
And we can't communicate with it.
Well, we'd obviously be trying hard to. But say for sake of argument, we fail to. It's uncommunicative. It's just there. It's just a giant beast of a thing.
It's like it's like Solaris or something. It's like a Lem novel.
I guess there'd be talk of like mounting a mission to go check it out, like launch a rocket.
Yeah.
To go and see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean it might. You'd definitely send some probes up to it, something like that.
Yeah. For sure.
Straight, like
as quickly as possible, I guess.
Because you'd have to you wouldn't send crew or anything, obviously, to start with, but you'd want to know if it's got like any place to like kind of dock with it or whatever. Would you want to do that? I don't know. I really don't know what people would do. No. Like what the world plan would be if something just started orbiting Earth. Yeah. And that was clearly, a civilization's.
Because presumably we'd see it coming from a little ways off. Just like, you'll see on the news one day, like, that asteroid's just been detected. Like, it's gonna.
Well, it doesn't have to be even as big. An asteroid's massive.
An asteroid is massive. I'm sort of imagining something that's huge, but it doesn't have to be. It could be something that's small. Yeah. So no, they didn't detect it for.
Say it's bigger than the ISS, but not much bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still pretty big. I mean, you eventually.
It's big, and you'd see it once it's in orbit for sure.
Yeah, you can see the ISS from on the ground. But
it's very low orbit.
Yeah,
yeah. This is a very hypothetical discussion.
Yeah, but it's an interesting one in the sense that if something's totally uncommunicative, I mean, maybe that's one of these early. If you've got that's like a third country, it's not outwardly hostile or outwardly friendly. It's just you cannot communicate with it. You can't talk with it. You don't really know what it is. It's so alien and bizarre. You assume it's kind of monitoring Earth.
You'd have to, I guess.
And you don't know what for. Again, it could be for harvesting Earth, or just basically a probe that comes around and detects habitable things and then sends stuff back. Yeah. Or whatever it is. That's what they are. And they just fundamentally don't understand what we are, and there's no kind of. There's just nothing. There's nothing about the two of us that could ever understand each other. Yeah. In the sense that like there's some piece of philosophy that I don't know. I can't remember who came up with it, but something like if a lion could talk English, you wouldn't understand it.
Yeah, because he's got such a totally different experience of the world and reality and stuff. Yeah. So it would be a similar, but even more extreme.
Much more removed. Sort of. Potentially not even biological at that point. Maybe some. It might be an AI or something like that. And just something totally alien.
And like even the concept of communicating is just not something that it would think about or it would do in the same way that we do.
It's just totally disinterested. It doesn't even have what you would call an interest in certain things. Yeah. It's just the concept of communicating with another species is just not a thing that it has to do, it is interested in. It's not even. It doesn't even know how to do that. It doesn't even understand what that is.
Yeah.
At this point, where it is in its evolution. Yeah. So in that case, you just sit there and then nuke it.
Eventually, you're like, fucking nuke the bad. Just harvest all that sweet unobtainium or whatever it's made of.
I don't see any option.
Yeah, that's the only course of action left.
I think that's a really interesting scenario, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't. It's the kind of thing that you can't even really have like a protocol for that, because there's just almost nothing that you can do apart from just leave it and eventually go and check it out firsthand.
Yeah. So I suppose that's not that in that sense, the short-term effects. Of that would be just one of sort of mistrust and fear and surprise and everything that's rolled into all the others, except for that kind of.
Yeah, I think common to all these three scenarios, like the signals, direct like face-to-face contact, or some weird artifact showing
and
up.
a positive negative of both.
Yeah. So the thing that's common to like all of that is just like a flurry of crazy like response on the internet and news media, whatever, for a few months.
But the developed world and the developing world are going to have different kind of. This is going to have different effects on both of them. For example, things like fear and panic and these kinds of things, or elation and the feelings that I suppose we were sort of thinking of from our own perspective or from a developed world perspective. I wonder if they'd be different. I wonder if they'd be more extreme or less extreme.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that a lot of those people, just because they haven't had the reason to, just haven't really contemplated like kind of outside of their context so much, because they haven't needed to, like at their lives,
because they'll know things like they know about the space race and stuff, and the moon, so and they most developed countries still have education,
but being like not face to face with it, but being like suddenly you're up against like this kind of immediate change in the world, like a visitation or something, and that it's happened, even if you live in the middle of nowhere in Mongolia. Like is it going to be more extreme?
I feel like some things of like fear and stuff. I mean, the less you understand something,
that's true,
the more extreme your fear is going to be. And developing countries tend to have less well-established education systems, so people are going to tend to be unfortunately more scared and things, because they'll understand. I mean, we'll understand. No developed country is going to understand what's going on, but it's just that extra level of not understanding.
Yeah. So fear is probably the most likely response, but I guess you could imagine like a more extreme like elation as well.
Yeah.
If it like, I'm thinking specifically of like some quite like isolated tribal groups, say that it like somehow is weirdly aligned with some weird mythology they have, that kind of thing could be like, shit, this is the second coming, this is like the end of days, like kind of jubilant kind of, that kind of thing. So I guess like a lack of knowledge of something is always going to give you a sort of more extreme reaction to it, possibly.
Yeah.
In the context of those guys.